And now to an update. As Cal Poly students and staff prepare for their return to campus, the university is preparing to take on COVID-19. Campus officials plan to test students using a method called surveillance testing. KSBY's Melissa Newman explains.
The city of San Luis Obispo is currently under a safety enhancement zone that includes everywhere within city limits. Under these guidelines, fines are doubled for things like noise violations and gatherings, and for some students that can even mean expulsion as the university tries to avoid a COVID-19 outbreak. Bracing for impact, Cal Poly officials are actively working on a plan to prevent a COVID-19 outbreak from happening on campus once students return.
Because of the hands-on nature of our learn by doing education, we, more than most universities, have to be disciplined and learn how to deal with this virus. We must balance the continued success of our students with mitigating risk associated with the pandemic.
Much of their plan for avoiding an outbreak revolves around surveillance testing. They plan to screen and test asymptomatic students for the disease on a frequent basis to prevent it from spreading.
At the moment, we're in draft phase of creating some models as to how many students per day over the period of 1 week, 1 month, etc. We could test in order to kind of get our arms around any outbreaks or spread of the virus.
Those who do test positive will be housed in on-campus isolation units that follow CDC guidelines. All of this can only work if students are doing their part by avoiding gatherings, washing their hands, and wearing face coverings. The university says it's now taking a stronger approach. Students found having gatherings could face big penalties.
Students or organizations that engage in behavior that compromises the health and safety of the Cal Poly or larger community will be sanctioned, including potential suspension or expulsion from the university. Each student that chooses to come to San Luis Obispo this fall is committed to upholding these guidelines without exception.
The San Luis Obispo Police Department says the school checks its public logs daily, and officers try to educate those they come in contact with.
If they go to a noise complaint or an unruly gathering party complaint, there's an investigation and there's criteria that have to be met before a citation is going to be issued. So not extra patrol necessarily. It's really based on where the impacts are and when the disturbances are provided, that information is provided to us.
I asked Dr. Nazmi if they have a different plan for testing students for the disease because it's hard to imagine anyone would sign up to frequently be swabbed in their nose. He tells me they're looking at various methods. Some would even include just a saliva test in order to get the most compliance from students. In San Luis Obispo, Melissa Newman, KSBY News.
And the school is requiring all students living on campus to provide a negative COVID-19 test result taken within 72 hours of their arrival.